The Peekskill Hollow Road project, again, this was really just going to be an update for the community to let you all know where we are on the project, and Tom will do that shortly. But we understood that there were some additional questions, so John and I and the team, we went through some of the files just to get a recap of the history. If there was anything specific that you wanted to go over, we certainly would be available to do that. But fundamentally, this is the outline of the project as it stands today. This was pretty much settled by 2008, but the project had stalled because of the obligation of the design money. And so until 2012, and I was handed a list of federal projects that had stalled, this being one of them, we had to put in an action plan to revive it. And we did that, and the ledge certainly supported that financially and allowed us to bring this project back to life. So other than that, this is where we are. We're in the right-of-way process right now, and we're looking to go forward with construction. I think I'll hand it over to Tom for the time being. If there's anything specific.
Fred, there was a concern on the part of many of the board members, but also residents in town, about the turning lanes at Oregon Corners. Are they a necessity, the turning lanes? We love the idea of everything up to the turning lanes, the bridges, the reconstruction of those, the drainage and all the other things that you're going to be doing. But the turning lanes, our concern is the loss of parking spaces at the business district, which is the only business district we have in the entire
little bit that we have.
Yes. I did go through some of the history there, and Tom will get into some of the details of where we are today, but the project was fundamentally designed by the time we got here in 2012. And then, and I have looked back, it was consistent with, I want to just reflect on this, the Putnam Valley Economic Revitalization Corp. back in 2002 had a plan that was very similar to what was designed. So when we looked at it again back in 2014 in more detail, after we had gotten the funding to move it forward, we looked at the traffic again and made sure that we provided as much parking as possible. And you could see from as far back as 2002 to our 2014. In fact, I remember coming to your office here and going through that traffic analysis and trying to lay out as much parking as possible. Tom will show you the drawing where we are today.
Okay.
But originally it didn't have any of that. And so we took another look at it to try to provide as much parking as possible, with some struggle with the DOT because they have their criteria and were very objectionable to some of the suggestions we made, but we came to what we felt was the acceptable middle ground on that issue. So,
Good. Thank you, Fred.
Thank you. Just to reflect a little bit on what Fred had said, for the turn lanes, what we did was a complete traffic analysis. I'm sure most people are familiar with that. And one of the things that we look at when we use federal funds is to make sure that in a certain time period, the improvements that are made using federal dollars are still improvements, and we don't get ahead of ourselves. A great example is the Adirondack Northway outside of Albany was supposed to be a 30-year window for the route heading up into the North Country. Well, in 10 years, it was overwhelmed by economic development and residential development. That is still now, 15, 20 years later, an issue with traffic constantly. Yeah. So in this particular project, the design construction year is 2019. We look ahead to the 2029 time period. With that economic development plan and with the projected traffic, we have basically that intersection failing as a level service of F. The level of service for roads runs from A to F, A being the best, where you just kind of zip right through, C being a little bit of a delay, D being a little more, E you start getting irritated, and level service F, you're really angry. So the delay that we had come up with is about a minute or so with the traffic signal the way it is now. But in 2029, we're looking at about 5 minutes without the turn lanes. Now, the turn lanes themselves, you have to think of it as a complete system. When you have a left turn bay and you have a through lane, twice as many cars get through. And you all know that when the light turns green and you're about the 15th car, it's almost like almost a minute before you actually move. Right? Well, picture that in half. So the allowable green light that you get on all four corners goes up dramatically on the whole intersection. So that's why the turn lanes have such a dramatic impact on reducing congestion at that intersection. So you have to look at it as a complete system. And what we had found, we were in when it's built, we'll be at level service B and sometimes C at the worst period in the PM as a worst case. So traffic will flow through there in a very controlled manner. As far as the parking spaces, we worked as diligently as we could to get as many back as we can. There's currently 10 on the corner where the deli is.
Right.
There will be 8 after the project.
Okay.
Yes, it is a loss of 2, but a lot more traffic will be coming through the intersection now, and be able to stop and notice, drive by the store, and we won't have that congestion there with everybody in that one location. We are replacing the superstructure, the beams and top course on the bridge, also widening it for turn lanes there as well. So that whole package together really gets traffic through there. And with the lights, we have easier crossing. There's a light there now, but with this new light system, we'll have better pedestrian crossings as well. So we want to promote that with the sidewalks and get people walking around a little bit more to stop in. So that's to kind of answer the traffic
Now,
part.
parking by the new renovated garage down there, or George's garage is what we called it. It's going to be a showroom for classic cars. Will that have available parking? That's a concern.
On the street, no.
On the street, no. So where would they pull in parking? Or, I mean, the bridge is going to encroach a bit.
Just a little bit, not too much. About 6 or 7 feet. It's going to get widened. We make better use of the lane, the area that's there. So we're going to widen it about 6, 7 feet.
Well, how about, the vehicles that will pull into the storefront itself, the garage doors and stuff, they will have access or?
But the problem with that, Sam, is that the parking for that building is only what's on that lot. So putting the turn lane in, with whatever we pay from it, is only, I don't have the exact numbers, but out to the swale that's out there, I want to say it's about 15 or 18 feet. So if you take 6 or 7 off of it, a car doesn't fit from the front of the garage.
That's what was just said, you can't park on the street.
There won't be pull-in parking at that garage. They'd have to come in and parallel park across the garage doors.
So there's really, in effect, no parking at all for this business?
Not on that side of the road there.
Well, there's none anywhere for that business if they don't have it there.
The only parking would be on their property itself. Remember, the plan was conceived before the business was there and allocated, and the intersection was set up to function into the future with the development.
Is there a way to remediate that situation, to provide a couple of spots at least?
I think they will chime in. I think there will be a couple, 2 or 3 on-site parking.
On-site.
There's room for
You can.
2 parking spaces.
That's what we would need, people
Right.
pull up and they want to look at the cars.
Yeah, the side street parking.
Yeah.
Are you removing parking in front of the post office too?
No, not at all.
No, that's still a building.
Okay, so that's still
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
There's
that's
still
still-
some.
Because they're not widening that.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so those spaces, they accommodate, as I said, across the doors. I mean, I stopped in there and I did that before I came to the meeting. To be able to park across the doors.
I understand.
So
what
pull
you're
right,
saying.
so almost like a parallel park, to
Right.
pull into a slot there.
Right.
Knowing the car business pretty well, it's not a in and out like a Jiffy Lube or something like that.
No, it's not. It won't be, no.
So blocking the doors, we didn't see as a real hindrance to the type of operation that's there. But make sure we provide as much as we can. We're narrowing it the minimum amount that we can.
I'm sorry, just want to get something clarified. The widening by the bridge, that's where the 6 to 7 feet is coming from.
Yes.
6 to 7 feet is not coming from Peekskill Hollow Road, where it's going to be infringing on the garage. There's not going to be another 6 to 7 feet taken from there.
No.
No.
Right?
That's what he said, that type of,
Turn lane is going to tail
On the
out
side.
in front of the base. Just what you said. Right now,
Yeah.
you can park nose into the base.
Correct.
After the project, you'll only be able to parallel park in front of the base.
Correct.
Okay, so there we are taking
I'm sorry.
The sidewalk is there as
Sidewalk.
well, too. The sidewalk,
There'll be a sidewalk there.
sidewalk and then the northbound lane of Peekskill Hollow Road.
Because the intersection with the two turn lanes, and I know what the projection is, I realize about the projection, and that's what we want to do, is we want to look to the future.
Be proactive, yeah.
But I have one person who was on the development committee, I believe, when this plan was made. He contacted me this morning via email, and he is not in favor of most of this, since he's there 2 times a day. He works in Oregon Corners, he has a business there. He's a pedestrian walking across the road 2 to 3 times a day. He's there 6 days a week, and he's watching what's happening. And when we had that big boom, now it's starting to tail off. We're getting an intersection that in our town is going to be comparable to what we have at Route 6 and Westbrook Drive, which is leading into the Cortland Town Center. I know that we want to improve our economics in this town, but I think we got to work on more of a happy medium, because I think one is going to outweigh the other with the way the numbers look and with the design, because I opened up that big file that we had, and as far as I could figure it out, with what you're saying is, now we've taken what would be, if Jamie's got 5 days down there, we went from 5 cars, now we're to 3, before the doors are open,
In front of his place.
in front of us.
But he'll have side parking on the side. He'll have side parking on the side.
Yeah, you're not
So
affecting the parking that goes on the side of his building,
No,
facing the building on the left side, you know, here's the
no,
building.
that's not affected.
That's not affected, so you can
No,
always
I'm
pull up
talking
there.
about building on the right side, but that, he can't park over there, he doesn't own it. That's post office once he crosses the road.
No, I know that, but I know Mr. Lena, and I know that there is communication between Jamie, you know, Mr. Brzee and Mr. Lena on that. So I think some parking will be available there. The concern I have, and I have to agree with Louis, is that we want our businesses to thrive, and parking is a, you know, a major concern.
We
Okay.
were kind of hoping that some of this project would give us side street parking, but that doesn't look like that's going to be even an option.
No, and even back in 2002, the conceptual plan for this project showed no parking, no street parking at all.
Right.
But you added some, I know
We
that,
did.
yeah.
We added it where we could, and we kept it where we could come to an agreement with the DOT on their criteria. A
So,
lot of
yeah,
the way
can you-
that this was.
If you could go over that, that'd be great.
So a lot of the way that this was originally set up was, traffic was flowing into the intersection, and that may have been back in, several decades ago, that was permissible. It's no longer permissible, so curb has to be provided in through here, as well as a defined pedestrian box. Those features will have to be added when any time, if we do, even if we didn't do this project, if we were to renovate the paving coming through here, which we're doing, by the way, we're coming from Oscawana and heading our way south. So when this project is done, we're going to bring in the Oscawana pavement renovations right to and complete the intersection. But those renovations would have to be installed because you cannot have undefined corners without ADA compliance and curb work. So this project actually accomplishes it with federal money to do that work that would have to be done anyway. So these corners have to be defined. And we had this alignment, and we reserved that property for this project prior to the purchase of, or the sale of this property. So this was sold with all of that necessary property removed from it. So
That
that's
was
what-
true. I mean, that was, I remember James saying that, yeah.
The only thing that concerns me now, if we're gonna have, where will that curb come all the way around?
This here,
Yes,
okay, this is a sidewalk, follow
right?
and that comes all the way around over the bridge.
Okay. Now, will there be a curb there, or will you have
Yes,
access?
there'll be curb there.
So that,
There's a
would you
drop
have
for-
And
access
it drops,
over that
drops
curb?
off here to have access into the property here.
He does have
It
access
doesn't
then.
access.
It's not completely blocked then with
No,
the curb.
no, not at all.
Okay.
Can I ask when this traffic study was done?
When? It was done in 2008, updated in 2010 and 2014.
Because my own personal antidote to this, backs up twice a day, going to school, coming from school. And when they leave school, and I think Sam can verify this, there can be 4, 5, 6 buses maybe, and all making a right-hand turn onto Osceola Lake.
Right, that's where they're.
Turning lane is useless because they can't turn on red. So the buses are just gonna sit there.
It's a left turn, it's a left turn.
Well, not, from
So-
Peekskill Hollow, it's a right turn to go up Osceola.
Right here,
Yeah.
and what this does is separates the traffic to get this right turn free flowing. And we also had to change this radius so the buses don't come out into the other lane as
And
well.
I also understand what you said, and you need to plan for further down the road in the future. The problem with that is Putnam Valley is pretty built out. What you see here in terms of residents in 20 years is what we're gonna have. There's really no major developments projected for the next, I don't know, when.
No, there's no truth
It's
to that.
all
Yeah.
wetlands
No,
or
but
steep
what he's
slope.
saying is, what I understand that the county's saying is, if they do those sidewalks, you build it, they will come. You know, we can hopefully, get some of these vacant buildings rented or sold.
Sidewalks isn't the issue with across the street
It
and
is,
vacant
it
buildings.
actually is, because
That's
now the high
the
school kids
owner.
can walk down and get to where they gotta go. Parents can come down with their strollers, so there is a benefit to those sidewalks. So you don't wanna get rid of those sidewalks, it's a great idea.
No, sidewalks are good if you built it
Now,
all the way to the
turns,
high
you know,
school.
You can have a right turn thing, like an arrow, so those buses are not gonna be waiting at the red light for 3 minutes? Will there be an arrow strictly for the right-hand turn?
No,
On a traffic device.
no, there wouldn't be a right arrow on that. No. Only because you'll have a
Straight through.
straight
From
through
there.
Osceola Lake Road.
Is that sidewalk proposed to go to the high school?
No, not at this point.
See, that would be a huge help, because those kids come back and forth from the high school to get snacks and food between when school's ending and when their sports or their clubs start. And you'll see kids walking that road.
The funding, the original funding for the project was a rehabilitation of Peekskill Hollow
Right.
Road. So it didn't cover the sidewalk element, that's a different,
Gotcha.
but that's something that the county can look to in the future too. There's funds for that. On safe routes to school, there's CFA programs, and there's also some of the STP flex money sometimes available for that too. So one thing as well, this intersection, if you did have any businesses come in downtown here and they had a significant traffic draw, they would be required to make these improvements, and it's a very significant
To do it
investment.
anyway, yeah.
Right, and also the answer would be, not many of you are familiar with planning board, and that likely not to happen if you gotta build something like this, it's very expensive. Just the maintenance of the traffic while the construction's going on is a very big expense as well, and that would have to be done by the developer.
Yeah.
So, also, if you're using federal money for the project here, you have to show an improvement and a long-lasting improvement, or else you don't get the money.
Yeah.
So,
No, it's important, especially for the sake of the bridges, because the one bridge past south of the high school,
correct.
I believe that's yellow flag
Yellow
at this
flag, yes.
point.
And has barrier on it to keep it
Yeah,
from.
yeah. I mean, that really needs work, and
That's part of the project.
the other one at Oregon Corners directly. And now repairs will also be done on that, right?
Yeah,
Correct?
that's gonna get a complete superstructure
Now,
replacement.
will Westchester be contributing to that? Because most,
If it's federal money, right?
No,
Federal, no.
it's not involved.
no, it's not involved at all.
It's through federal money, so it's an 80% from the federal, 15% state,
Yeah.
and then 5% contribution
Right.
from the counties.
Okay.
Where you're coming east on Peekskill Hall Road past the high school, now you're providing for the turning lane if you're going west, I guess, so you can turn into the school.
Yes.
But as you're coming down the hill, will there be a lane so that cars can go past? Or are they gonna, because it backs up there?
In the high
constantly.
school driveway itself?
Yeah.
Not in the high school driveway, on
No,
Peekskill Hollow.
Peekskill
On
Hollow.
Peekskill Hollow, the entrance to the high school.
Yes, that right turn lane will be opened up and
It will.
put it to
Good,
use, yes.
good, excellent. Yeah, that's.
What the other way is what I'm saying, coming down towards town.
It'll be a left turn.
That's
Yes, it's a
that's
left
a
turn.
left turn.
There'll be a left turn
Yeah.
there, yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Because that truly backs up.
That is the back.
That's part of the plan. Early on in the project, I remember that the county worked with DOT, saying, we really need a signal here quickly. So they're able to use funds and get that signal in, even though it was part of the original project. Even though that had
No,
things that slowed down, we got the signal in.
yes,
So,
it was.
and we had designed that signal well for the county part of this project, so at least that's been in for a while.
Yeah.
So let's get the turn lane in there now, too.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate it, and Fred, compliments to you and your department, John also, because you followed this from the beginning as well.
You too.
Yeah, we were there, but I never thought we'd be able to re-grab that grant.
Well, getting it back,
Because we
you-
had close to $8 million.
Yeah.
It's close to $8 million that was sitting out there.
Yeah.
That we could have actually lost, and plus some other consequences if we didn't move forward with the project, so.
Were you able to grab Fair Street as well? You have that as well now?
We have that pretty much back on
Good,
track.
good,
We also have Stony Drewville, we have Sodom Road. A lot of these things that were languishing for a very long time, we're getting them back on track.
Outstanding, that's good. It's appreciated. You know, we could just keep in mind those businesses, that's the important thing. We have so little commercial in this town that anything we can preserve would be a plus for our residents. Otherwise, they bear the full cost of the taxes on their backs.
Can I ask one more question? On
Absolutely.
the colored one, which is gonna be on the camera, there's yellow, green, and blue. Can you tell us what the color coding is?
Thank you, Jackie. Good question.
Mind if I do it right here?
Yeah, sure, that's fine. Yep.
Alright. The blue is an area that the pavement will be fully reconstructed. We have a lot of issues with deteriorating subbasin water infiltration. The green is an area where we're going to use a recycling method. So basically, it'll dig up the asphalt, rejuvenate it with some new asphalt, and reuse it as a base, and then put a new top coat on top.
Good.
So it's kind of we didn't have to do full depth there, so we're saving a lot of energy and that by recycling. And the rest of the area in yellow will receive just shoulder widening and drainage corrections.
Good.
So the recycling ends at about Court Street. Met with all the residents there at Court Street and the Racket Club, and we worked out an agreement. We figured out some things to keep a tree, don't need this tree, that type of thing. That worked out well. And from that point up to about 400 feet short of Adams Corners will be a 4-foot shoulder added to the road itself. Cut off the edge, cut off the deterioration, and with that shoulder. That's going to help keep the water off the road, and also give some type of buffer to people pulling out for a little more sight distance.
It's tough on that road because you have either a mountain on one side or a cliff on the other on that road. So we know the obstacles that.
And while you're there,
Mhm.
how far up Oswego Lake Road will we be going with the project run?
It's about 200 feet.
Oh, okay, but that would take the rest
End of the belly.
Right. And then the next project that Fred was talking about will pick up from that point.
Okay.
So we have
For
some
the pavement.
resurfacing, yes, resurfacing
Right.
planned. We've been working north, and we're working our way down to bring it to the intersection, so you guys should be in pretty good shape after that.
Outstanding, outstanding.
There'll also be a new culvert by Lover's Lane. The culvert that carries the stream under there, that's got to be replaced. That's part of this project.
You are going to replace
Replacing
that
that,
little bridge.
that's under the federal dollars. You don't have to worry about it for 50, 75
And
years. So.
speaking about that culvert, what about the alignment? Are we realigning that at all?
No, there's a very minor realignment there, but it's primarily to help with maintaining traffic during construction when the culvert's put in.
Yeah.
But no, generally the road is staying in its original alignment. I know you probably had seen earlier versions of it, different curves that were changed, but
Yes.
we're sticking with that. It was part of the process that we went through with the public information meetings to weed these things out and get the feelings of everybody, and revise the design and came to an agreement to build something that will hopefully satisfy most people.
Well, in the initial stages, having been there as a legislator, and Vinnie, you can attest to this, the many meetings we had where people protested the whole project. And it was pared down quite a bit. Originally, it was going to go from 301 right to Oregon Corners.
I was involved at that point too.
Yeah, that's right. Huge rehabilitation, and you know, many individuals in Putnam Valley like the rural nature of that length from Adams Corners to 301, the rural feel of that road. So the county was good enough to revamp, and that's about when we thought we lost the project because the DOT was looking at it and said, wait a minute, this is not what you wanted originally. So we were very happy to see it recaptured, especially for the bridges. That's my biggest concern, keeping those alive.
Well, it's part of the process that you go through, especially with public input. It just shows how that process can work.
Yeah,
So.
and it did. And well, we appreciate it, thank you.
Thanks for the explanation, I really appreciate it. I think it explained a lot.
And Tony, can you put this map on the air as a scroll and let people really take a look at this?
Sure.
This would be great, so that they can see exactly what's going to happen. and
I'll
what's
give you-
gonna be
I'll give
done.
you a-
We'll give you a copy of that as well.
Send me the
Frank.
file.
And that one we should
Good.
get also,
We
Sam.
put on the website too.
Okay.
That's a lot better defined for Oregon corners.
Are we able to get that,
You can
the,
have the.
No, the white one.
the one behind it
Behind it.
as well?
This is.
This one. It's in the email that
Bill sent us.
Ruben sent us.
It was hard to find that. That email was copious, Bill. It had more pages.
34.
Well, If Steve got it, he's got a copy.
Okay, yeah.
Send me the email, I can grab that
Okay.
image.
I'll send it to you.
Okay.
You can have this, as
Oh,
Mark said, so.
great.
Okay, good. We do have a copy from the email that Bill had sent us, so we'll put that on our scroll as well, just so people are aware of it and they know. Now, when will the project actually begin, the construction?
With the schedule we have right now, we hope, we should be completing the right-of-way process by early fall. So I have late fall here for getting into the construction bidding process,
Okay.
which has its own requirements and its own with the federal dollars. So that will bring us in somewhere awarding to the contractor in February of 2019, the latest March, with construction to begin in March, April 2019 and be completed in the fall. We're going to try to push to be done before school.
Wow.
But you have to see how that works out. It depends exactly the dates that they have. But we want to try to get it done substantially before school starts. But I have here October, just being a little conservative on that, so.
Okay. That's good news. Soon, very soon. Thank you. Thank
Very
you.
welcome.
Great, excellent. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Vinnie?